Hello, hello, hello out there. Yes, this is Storm Petoskey coming at you live from Mother Earth. Welcome to another episode of Getting Stoned. We are live and uninterrupted. Yes. I appreciate y'all stopping by. I appreciate all y'all sending lots of love and good energy. Beautiful vibes. Yes, indeed. We are here. We are here to feel the love and the goodness. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. So, wrapping you up in some of that good stuff. Hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving holiday. Not everybody is so blessed as we are. I often say that I feel like I live like royalty or some shit. I get a hot shower whenever I want it. I get a warm, nourishing meal anytime I want it. I drive around in a car that works. And I go to a job that pays me a decent wage to do something I love to do. I have my health, most importantly of anything and all of it. I have a great group of friends, people who love me, my family. My beautiful dog, Allie, she's a sweetie. It's just nonstop, man, all the blessings. And, it's something that oftentimes I think we can get lost in the suffering, if you will, not only in our own lives, but in the world. And we all know that's real. People are feeling that way. Not everybody has all the blessings, certainly that I just mentioned for myself. So that's one of the reasons that I come on here and I just talk about things, life, the joys and the beauties and the sorrows and the ugliness, all of it that rides alongside of us on this journey we're all on. So much love I send out to all y'all. Much love. We're gonna get right on into it here. I'm gonna read from a book by a cool cat. This brother's name is Henry Miller, and I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read the essay that is the title of this collection of his, and it's called "Stand Still Like the Hummingbird." It was on the jet from New York to San Francisco at an altitude of 30 to 40,000 feet, and never so much as a tremor, that all unwittingly I moved a few centimeters into the future. We were making the flight in 5.5 hours. It was a daytime flight, and despite the altitude, the earth below and man's transformation of it was clearly recognizable. What a geometer, man. Whole counties laid out in squares and rectangles. Counties traversed in the wink of an eye. All very much like Walt Disney's graphic Pythagorean demonstrations in Mathemagic Land. It was the comfort, the motionless motion, the unaccustomed perspective which doubtless threw me, together with the copies of Life and Time, now more than ever supernated, which floated from hand to hand like the wreckage from some exploded planet. They belonged to such a distant past, it seemed, a past far more remote than that of Altamira or Leso. They belonged to the world of things, and we had left the world of things far behind. We were of the airs now, and they were filled with secret vibrations, with rays invisible and of power unimaginable. Yes, though only a few inches from the ground, so to speak, we were already verging on the carrefours of uncharted lanes of force, mysterious, magical force, destined to alter not only our concepts of life, but our very being. A little more effort, another push, and who knows, we might make it. Make it to Vega, Betelgeuse, further even, out of our limitless universe and into the blue of the poet and dreamer, the blue of the mystics, perhaps into the upper partials of some divine musical space. Like a refrain, I kept repeating to myself, today 5.5 hours, tomorrow 2, and the day after just a few minutes, perhaps. And then, for what's to stop us, a speed which will render speed meaningless. We speak so glibly of the speed of light. What reality has it for us, this speed of light? Man's struggle, ever since he ceased to grovel like the worm, has been to equate imagination with deed. For this, the poets and the saviors were crucified. This was the nature of their heresy, that they dared to reach out, touch fingertips with the Creator, complete the circle. Nothing too startling will ever be accomplished by means of technique. The universe has no armature, no weight, no substance, no purpose even. Neither is it dream and illusion. It is. The highest thought can neither add to it nor subtract from it. It grows, changes, responds to every need, every demand. It can exist with God or without. It is like a mind which asks and answers its own questions. Our needs. What is it that we need? Certainly, the more liberated one feels, the less one needs. The sage demonstrates it daily, and the idiot too. Just to breathe, to know that you are alive. Isn't it marvelous? Looking down from a height of 40,000 feet upon the activity of this geometer of an ant called man, one is struck by the utter senselessness of sweat and struggle, toil and bubble. For all that he has achieved, merely to sustain life, mind you, he has merely scratched the surface of the planet. Does all this effort constitute an advance? The birds wing their way above the din and hubbub, content to ride the wind. They leave no monuments in space, no writings in the sky. Every creature of the wild is a demonstration of faith and joy. Man alone, the Lord of creation, suffers. Suffers not from want, but from an unnameable deprivation. The world of things is fast drawing to a close. It is inevitable. For the labor of man, his cunning and inventiveness has been in vain. The mind of man is beginning to look not merely into space and the mysteries concealed therein, but to some greater level of being. His thoughts already move in new dimensions. More and more he seeks to live imaginatively, daringly, in accord with his own divine nature. He is thoroughly sick of machines, of therapies which offer no balm, of religions and philosophies which have no rapport with the magical existence he is about to lead. He has come to perceive that life is everywhere in all things, at the edges of the universe as well as the center, and that nowhere is it absent, even in death. Why cling to it then with such stubbornness? What can be gained that is not already lost? Surrender, whispers the still small voice. Overboard with the baggage. It seems impossible that in our present state of being we can hope to find out there anything vastly different than we already know, than we already have right here. We seek only that which we are ready and prepared to find. But it could happen that struggling to perfect ways and means of assaulting the unknown, we may stumble on shattering verities which have ever been right under our nose. We may discover that in our own mysterious mind and heart there exists all that is necessary to satisfy our longings, our maddest dreams. It may prove not only dangerous and absurd to go on breaking down resistant nothingness, such as the atom, but futile as well. Are we not miraculous in our own very being? Why not think miraculously, act miraculously, live miraculously? Fumbling with the lock, man's immemorial pastime, the door may suddenly open of itself. The door to reality, I mean. Was it ever locked? The greatest miracle is the discovery that all is miraculous. And the nature of the miraculous is utter simplicity. Nothing has been gained by sweat and struggle, by taking thought, by devotion, prayer, perseverance, patience, fortitude, or by sloth, need it be added. Imagine the planets pausing to decide the direction of their orbits. Imagine them struggling to change their fiery courses. Thinking, what a vice. Struggling, what absurdity. To know is so easy, so painless. The ground for any kind of growth and cultivation is prepared by lying fallow. How then is the break to be made? It is man himself who must break. Up to now, he has only been splintered like the glass he uses for his windshields. He has collided only with heavier bodies, never with a shattering, devastating idea. Craving a foolproof world, he refuses to submit himself to the slaughter which the mind can wreak. Even when he goes insane, the thought machine still functions. No matter if the cogs be jammed, man is that peculiar breed of animal that can function in a world completely mad. It would still be his world. And is it not an insane world which we have come to inhabit? What valid meaning is there to any of our acts, plans, and thoughts? Whatever we create only adds to our distress and confusion, our eventual annihilation. Nothing our sick brains invent can add an ounce of joy to this thoroughly empty existence. The more we discover, the more we invent, the more crippled and frustrated we become. And this drunken mechanic, this push-button maniac, thinks to explore the outer universe. What a joke! No, Homo sapiens will never make it. He is in the last stage of devolution. His world of things, thingamajig that it is, will vanish in the twinkle of an eye. The pity is that he could have come so close and missed. Wherein did he fail? In refusing to recognize the wondrous nature of his own being. He asked for power instead of mastery, for efficiency rather than glory. In time to come, it may be said of him that never did life spawn a more efficient misfit. There may be such a thing as evolution, with all the incredible tedium which the notion implies. But from seed to bud to flower is another thing. There is such a thing as growth, and there is endless transmigrification. One can rearrange the pieces ad infinitum, giving check and check again, but never mate. Or one can take the leap into the blue. For the visionary, the act is all. Nirvana in the sense of awakening. The awakening being the fulfillment. Is the future, like speed and motion, destined to become a meaningless term? Have not the men of the future been with us from the very beginning? What is the universe but a state of mind? Grappling with the problem of speed, or is it the riddle of light, it becomes more and more evident that there is no such thing as motion, or gravity, or heat, or light, any more than there are atoms, molecules, protons, electrons. Only gods and devils, birth and death, ignorance and bliss. Nothing out there can possibly be more mysterious, more enigmatic than here within our own breasts. The corporeal is the phantasmal, the shadow realm. Mind is all, and its realm is reality. What is defies knowing. With regard to the tiniest, the most insignificant morsel of this unsubstantial universe, thought wears itself out. The mind can only toy with what food or substance is presented to it. It can never come to know in any ultimate absolute sense. Without intention, though not without reason, we grow each day more metaphysical minded. The dream of mastery over the forces of nature has finally led us to ask, what is mastery? At what point, for example, in the development of speed, will it be possible to say that we have mastered the situation? When we are able to attain the speed of light? When we can transport ourselves instantaneously from any point in the universe to any other point? Is there any reason to attain such awesome speed? The only point of pursuing such miraculous ends, it seems to me, would be that in the doing, we ourselves would become transformed. Perhaps only through the achievement of such freedom will we begin to question the nature and purpose of all our activity. If mind alone is capable of making these incredible leaps, why drag the body along? Or, if mind and body are one, as we tend more and more to believe now, would we not be there in body, soul, and spirit, wherever we wished, whenever we wished? From various quarters and from earliest times, we have had testimony relating to superhuman feats on the part of certain beings. However skeptical we may be with regard to such statements, we are all nevertheless capable of being excited by the prospect of visits from other worlds. It has even been asserted that these visitors from outer space are at present walking amongst us here on Earth. Some indeed claim to have spoken with them. True or not, the point is that if they are here, it did not take them 1,000,000 years to make the journey. Nor, I venture to add, did it take them eons to learn to speak our language, or any language used by Earthmen. And if they are capable of speaking in any tongue, what is to prevent us from assuming that they could speak to all men in all tongues simultaneously? Or in Pentecostal fashion, give the illusion of doing so. Language at best is but a poor means of communication. It is the soul speaking to the soul, the spirit informing speech, which gives words meaning. This is what I meant when I referred a moment ago to our growing metaphysical cast of mind. The problems which have plagued us for so many millennia tend to change face as we approach their seeming solution. What, for instance, will speed mean when one can travel faster than light, as some sober-minded men of science now predict is within the realm of possibility? What sense is there in developing radar or other techniques of communication when it has already been proved that men can communicate telepathically at any distance apart? And would it be any more difficult, do you suppose, to communicate telepathically from one planet to another, one universe to another? And if, as has been demonstrated again and again over countless years, men have been healed, even brought back from death, by a word or a touch of the hand, sometimes by their own powers of suggestion, why go on turning out medicine men who make not the least effort to understand or investigate such phenomena? At a certain point in his life, Gautama the Buddhist sat himself beneath a bo tree and resolved not to move from the spot until he had pierced the secret of human suffering. Jesus disappeared for 17 years to return to his native land steeped in a wisdom of life which sets at naught all our knowledge. We are so accustomed to thinking in terms of death, yet death promises nothing, solves nothing. Life does not begin in some remote ideal world, some paradisical hereafter. It begins and ends here, wherever we are, in whatever circumstances. Three-dimensional beings that we are nevertheless capable of living in multiple dimensions. That is the meaning of life, that it is infinitely variable, inexhaustible, inextinguishable. The current desire to conquer space and time is premature, to say the least. It is only another more spectacular manifestation of our itch to free ourselves from the problems we have created for ourselves. Never has any real attention been paid to the words of the elect. In every domain, from jurisprudence to astrophysics, the quack still dominates. We make no effort to rid ourselves of our ills, our vices, our shortcomings. We beg for the impossible, to sin without paying the price. Refusing to admit that we ourselves are as mysterious and indestructible as the universe itself. We regard the outer universe as a kind of game reserved to be exploited for our televised entertainment and prolonged stultification. It is the familiar pattern of exploration, spoliation, exploitation, nullification. What makes it all the more ironical is that our problems here on earth are yet so ridiculously petty. Hardly we have begun to use our minds when we find ourselves dying. We grow old before we have matured. Worse, for the better part of our lives, we are disease crippled and frustrated. In short, we are used up almost from the start. There is one comforting truth which is inescapable. Each time we run away from ourselves, we are driven home again with greater force. Every effort to break out only pushes us further back into ourselves. It may be possible for man to reach the outer edges of the universe, but the importance of it will lie not in the getting there, but in knowing more about ourselves. If we could pick up a stone in the field and truly grasp its nature, its essence, its being, so to speak, we would understand and know and appreciate the whole outer universe. We would not need to fling our bodies around like comets gone wild. Being fully here and of the moment, we would also be there, anywhere, and of all moments. Much too simple, doubtless, but such is the nature of the real. Why change the world? Change worlds. quite a difference. Thus I mused as we lumbered along at 500 miles an hour. Tomorrow 1,000 an hour. The day after 5,000. Multiply it by a zillion. What difference? Are we getting somewhere? Where? Is the body and mind of 20th century man geared to cope with all this abstract jazz? Ought we not first learn to fly backward too, or stand still in the air like a hummingbird? And what about the honey? Before we can get ahead of ourselves, we must get behind ourselves. Leaking space, we lick time too. What time will it be then? And what vector would we then regard as ours? Buddha gave us the Eightfold Path. Jesus showed us the perfect life. Lao Tzu rode off on a water buffalo, having condensed his vast and joyous wisdom into a few imperishable words. What they tried to convey to us, these luminaries, was that there is no need for all these laws of ours, these codes and conventions, these books of learning, these armies and navies, these rockets and spaceships, these 1,001 impedimenta which weigh us down, keep us apart, and bring us sickness and death. We need only to behave as brothers and sisters, follow our hearts, not our minds, play, not work, create and not add invention upon invention. Though we realize it not, they demolish the props which sustain our world of make-believe. True, the world still stands or spins, but the meaning has gone out of it. It is more dead, this illusory everyday world, than if it had been shattered by 1,000,000 atom bombs. We live as ghosts amid a world in ruins. All is senseless repetition. There am I, and there I always am, as Rimbaud said. Neither Lao Tzu, nor the Enlightened One, nor the Prince of Peace made any excursions into outer space unless in their astral bodies. They changed worlds, yes. They traveled far, but standing still. Let us not forget that the road inward toward the source stretches as far and as deep as the road outward. Among other bizarre thoughts which invaded me as we hummed along up there a few inches above the skin of the earth was this one about Milarepa, the Tibetan saint. According to his biographers, he had ascended to heaven not in the dead of night, but in broad daylight, and in full view of his beloved followers. He had left his raiment behind in a little pile, and even as he was ascending heavenward, he warned his disciples not to quarrel about his belongings, few that they were. But lo and behold, his feet had hardly left the earth when they fell to snatch the beloved's garments from one another's hands, and in their greed to possess tore them to shreds. This drama, so familiar, so oft repeated, served to remind me that the disciple is ever the betrayer, the believer ever the murderer. From this, I fell to thinking of a book which had greatly intrigued me, Star of the Unborn. It concerns a utopia which comes about some 500,000 years hence. A monumental reach of the imagination, this work. How did it come about? The great change in man's outlook. How did it happen that from the senseless savage such as man now is, he became a man of peace, a space traveler, an immortal, if he chose to be? By pure happenstance, by the fact of the stars moving in a little closer overwhelming men by their radiance. Preposterous as the device may seem, it should not be overlooked that for all our skillful reading of the movements of the celestial bodies, no one can say with certainty that tomorrow or the next day, new planets, new stars, even more resplendent worlds may not heave into view, traveling from some corner of the universe or multiverse that we have overlooked, traveling at a speed greater than any we have been able to imagine, much less calculate. That things may simply happen. Let us reckon with that always. Marvelous geometers that we are, drunken mathematicians that we are, nevertheless, we are always a few light years behind in our reckoning. We deal only with what is given, not what is about to be or may be. No, we have yet to come face to face with the supreme mathematician, the faceless mind of itself. Plot, plan, calculate, or postulate as we may, there will always be surprises in store for us. Count on it. Up, Josephine, in our flying machine, and away we go. Up we have been going for 50 years or more now, yet we do not know, cannot say, which way is up or down, backward or forward, outward or inward. One thing is certain. If parallel lines can meet in infinity, then machines can run without fuel, and men fly without machines, and thought travel faster than light, and neither bend nor refract. The machine is only the substance of a thought. Think harder, think faster, my lads. These awesome rockets are just so many firecrackers and pinwheels. Bounce your radar signals back and forth from galaxy to galaxy. It's fun. But why play badminton when there are beings out there, less or greater than ourselves, who knows, waiting for us, men of Earth, to really say something? Are you working on the message you will send when you finally make contact with our celestial neighbors? Will you be able to describe and code the array of newfound lethal weapons we have created? And if they are bored, will you bully them into listening? If at only 40,000 feet above sea level such queries sound ridiculous, how must they sound 12 million light years distant on some unspotted planet to minds which no longer think as primates, bipeds, and quadrupeds? If evolution is a fact, and why not, since there are slow facts and fast facts, just as there are cold wars and hot wars, then it is safe to predict that in less than a light year, we shall be able to do all the fool things we now dream of, perhaps more. If in a slow-moving jet on an altitude of only 40,000 feet, one can still hear the music of a departed Beethoven, the lullabies of a Crosby, the sugared messages of an Eisenhower, or the ravings of a Khrushchev, what's to hinder our listening eventually to that music of the spheres, which, according to the men of old, is forever going on, without scores, conductors, or instruments? Perhaps in Einsteinian fashion, that modest Saint Milarepa, seated on a comet's horn, holds converse even now with that delicious rogue Lao Tzu, as they make their merry way from planet to planet, universe to universe. Perhaps they have long ceased to discuss the impossibility of transmitting from one level to another unless asymptotically the elixir of wisdom, the truth of love, the bliss of perfect understanding. Ah, yes, musings thus I sometimes wonder if one of the great surprises in store for our bold space explorers may not be the collusion with murdered saints and saviors, their bodies fully restored and glowing with health as they move along in the etheric currents, sportive as dolphins, free as the birds, cured of all such follies as doing good, healing the sick, raising the dead, instructing the ignorant. We are only, alas, what we imagine ourselves to be. but in that only, vast universes of being are capable of taking form and shape. If only we knew that we can be all that we imagine, that we already are that which we wish to be. Even a peek into the future can give the illusion that the hideous clamor has ceased. Is it because the necessity or compulsion to make and destroy is done for? I could not help thinking what this continent of ours was like before the white man took it over. It seemed to me that silence was a great factor in the world of the Indian, that he made no unnecessary stir, that he took the long way about rather than the shortcut. Perhaps his mind was at rest. Certainly he had no need of stock exchanges, iron foundries, sheep and roller mills, crop works, laboratories, newspapers, mints, ammunition dumps. He had need of nothing, it would seem, which to us is so indispensable. Not that his world was a paradise, but it was never a senseless world. It had beauty, depth, great interludes of silence, and it vibrated with feeling. From the clouds, all that appeared to be left of this ancient world was the great barren stretch which begins with the far west. The most beautiful, the most exciting part of the 5-hour spectacle. Deserted though it was, an air of peace pervaded it. The remainder of the continent appeared to be crisscrossed by the tracks of a maniac, a monster of a chess master who had forgotten the rules of the game. So transitory, the maniacal labor of the geometer. Above, all was smooth, coordinated, effortless. Below, babble and confusion, struggle and ineptitude. For a brief moment, I had the impression that I was riding out of it, leaving it all behind permanently. But the voices coming over the air belied the thought. They were the voices of earthmen, and whether they crooned or rocked and rolled, whether they threatened imminent war or babbled of lasting peace, they had the ring of dolts, blunderers, misfits. No escaping them, even up there in the blue. The machine was theirs and would come home to roost. It would engender more machines, more intricate machines, more amazing machines, more machine-like machines, until the world and all its man-made parts became one vast interlocking machine of a machine. Woo! Whoa. Now what the fuck was that? That's some Henry Miller for you right there, y'all. Man, that took me all over the place. I don't even. If you were able to listen to that thing, I appreciate you. Henry Miller, y'all, Stand Still Like the Hummingbird. Hell of a piece of work. A fucking genius, that guy. What, just like a comet in the sky, just. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Thank you, brother. All right. Well, I don't need to be rambling on too much because, you know, there ain't nothing to be said much after that. But I will say this, man. Being alive right now and all the people that are just like so pumped on the machine and how it's going to make everything better, man. Nah. I'm going with Mr. Miller on this one. Yeah, no. It's the hottest here today over in the Middle East, and we got lots of hate. Shopping mall, suburbia, and cell phone. Wonder we are feeling so alone. People on TV have become our friends. Oh, please let this madness come to an end. Gotta shine our love light brighter every day. Be warriors of peace. Come on, babe. Gotta shine our love lights brighter every day. Be warriors of peace. Yeah, it's an original from way on back. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate you stopping by, giving this humble little show of mine. Listen, lots of love, lots of light, lots of good vibes coming at you. Until next time, y'all. Storm Petoskey.